I'm Danica Bunnett with Bluon Energy. Today we're going to be talking about crankcase heaters. I have Mike Mayberry here with me, who is the Director of Systems and Technology. And to start off, I'd like for you to give us a little background and what you do for Bluon.
Here at Bluon, I'm part of the technical team. I work with the larger equipment. We're trying to basically identify any problems that the contractors may experience in the field so that, you know, with our tagline, Bluon has your back, we're trying to help them so that they don't have to experience problems and things go easier for them. So that's basically what I do. I'm one of the people that you could get on the phone if you called in with a technical issue. So
great.
that's basically what I do.
Good, good. So moving on to our topic for today, which is crankcase heaters. Can you explain why crankcase heaters are necessary? Okay.
Crankcase heaters are important because of the fact that refrigerant will migrate to the coldest point in the system. And typically your compressors are outside and the refrigerant can actually condense into or with the oil, which can be very detrimental to the compressor when it starts and either lose lubrication or do some damage. So the crankcase heater raises the temperature of the oil to cause the refrigerant to boil out of the oil so that you don't run into those problems.
Those problems. And what are some of those problems if you do run into them?
Well, one of the problems you can experience with a crankcase heater is it simply fails. Crankcase heaters are typically a resistive heater, which is just a piece of wire with a resistance that when you put current through it generates heat. And over time the element can burn out like a light bulb does. The other issue, the more important one, or one of the more important ones, is that if crankcase heaters become loose, they can get corrosion between the compressor and the crankcase heater, and you're no longer transferring heat. So that heat is just dissipated to the air instead of warming up the crankcase oil.
Right, so that's a major issue with those. Okay. And will crankcase heaters solve all off-cycle migration problems?
No, they won't. The problem is that refrigerant travels to the coldest point of a system, and it's going to sit there. Refrigerant's kind of lazy. It's not going to move unless you prompt it to. And so the crankcase heater only heats the crankcase of the compressor. So as a result, we can get the refrigerant to boil out of the oil, but you know, if you've got a section of pipe right next to the compressor that's cold because of cold ambient, the refrigerant's just going to migrate over there and sit. So we can only do what we are in contact with.
So you have to be aware of that.
Yes, definitely.
Absolutely. Okay. And how do crankcase heaters operate differently with refrigerant blends instead of, you know, R22?
Well, with R22 we had a single constituent refrigerant that boiled at one temperature. With the blends we have multiple boiling points, and so some of the refrigerants can become liquid, you know, at a place where you wouldn't want them to. So it's more important for a system that has crankcase heaters to make sure they operate properly so that we can keep those refrigerants out of the oil and boiled off. It's just, if the manufacturer decided to put crankcase heaters onto a system, they did it for a reason. So you want to make sure that they're operating properly.
Right, so you don't have those issues.
Exactly.
And are there any times when you should not power up a crankcase heater?
Yes, there are, because in a vacuum, that crankcase heater, if it's heated up, can cause the internal part of the compressor to get substantially hotter. I mean, it's like the old thing where you could take a Coke bottle and pull a little bit of a vacuum and hold it in your hand and get the water to boil. So with the crankcase heater on, and in a vacuum, it can cause excessive heat that can be detrimental to windings.
It's a very bad deal, so don't do that.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. And do you have any concluding thoughts about crankcase heaters, any other best practices you'd like to share?
It's just the typical kind of a thing that you need to inspect, you need to make sure that everything is operating properly. I mean, we had a system where they were blaming everything there was for the compressor failure, and I asked him, I says, well, is the crankcase heater working? And he goes, of course. I says, are you sure? And he goes, yeah. I says, turn it on. He goes, I did. He says, well, it's not getting hot. And they checked it and it was a bad heater. So I mean, it's just the type of thing that you want to check those things because they are important.
Right.
So
you want to be aware of them so that your system's operating properly. That makes sense. Well,
great.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks for your time. And that was Crankcase Heaters.